Welcome to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. Join Reiki Master and Quantum Healing expert Wes Coons as he guides listeners through the depths of self-discovery and spiritual enlightenment to uncover the version of you we haven't met yet.
Welcome to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. My name is Wes Coons, and welcome back. Hey, today we have a special episode. I have a special guest here today, Emily. Hey, Emily.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate
it's a blessing. Well, Abby loved you, so you passed the test.
She's very sweet. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Abby.
Yeah. I was telling Emily, Lakota gave her this raw meat bone, and of course, she's digging holes in the backyard trying to bury it, and her tummy's upset, so it's been fun. So thanks, Lakota. Yeah. So what have you been up to? How are you?
I'm good. I'm kind of starting a new path. I was previously in mental health counseling, kind of stopped that, got into personal training, working at a gym, and now got my Reiki master's a few years ago and started my own business. And
Nice.
Getting that up and running.
I was looking at your page, and it says you have a bachelor's and a master's degree, right?
Correct, yes.
So clearly you can get a job. Yeah. Why are you doing healing work? I've heard some people say this is work for people that can't get real jobs. Somebody was being a kind of a smart ass about it, but you clearly can have a big time corporate job if you wanted. So what pulled you into doing this work?
Well, I think I noticed the first time when I was counseling, the biggest gap that I kind of came across, the dichotomy, it's like you can talk to somebody all day long. If they're having panic attacks, you can be like, oh, we can rationally make sense. This is what's going on. Here are some techniques to help cope with them. But they keep coming back, right?
Yes.
And so for me, it was like, how do you get to that subconscious? Because that's where it's all at. And just my own beliefs and my own journey, I'm like, there's a spiritual aspect to this. There's an energy aspect to this. And that's where we need to tap into. And so if we can get that's the core, then I think the emotional regulation and everything else kind of comes in hand.
Yeah, well, I think I was talking to somebody the other day, and she's new to this. I said, you've got this experience, there's energy to it, then there's trauma. So what I hear you saying is removing the energy of that experience so they can heal, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. So I know I did talk therapy forever. I mean, ever. And if I heard the lady say one more time, how are you feeling? I'm like, I feel like shit. I'm here, right? Nobody ever said life happens for you, not to you. And when I started to hear those words, that's when I was like, well, that's different. You know, I wanted different.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Now, when did your spiritual awakening happen? What was that like?
Oh, goodness. So actually, I have some childhood sexual abuse that happened over a span of years. And and this is what interests me about CPTSD is I knew that it had happened, but it never clicked. Like, I need to say something. This was wrong. And in high school, I kind of isolated myself, and I really fell in love with yoga, hot yoga. Actually, it was kind of became like a second family to me. And I felt like when I was in that room, I felt okay. I felt at peace. I still didn't really know what was going on, but I knew I felt okay in that room. And so I practiced all the time. And then I was at the oceanfront one day, and it was like a mystic shop or something, and there was a shaman there. And he came up to me, and he said, "You're hurting," and basically said, "You went through a lot as a kid."
Yeah.
And that hit me because nobody had ever, first of all, I'm like, who is this man off the street? I didn't know. And so that kind of struck something within me. And then when I went to college, I kind of got to a breaking point. We had like freshmen went to this talk about dating safely and what's not okay and what's okay. And then I read about, it was like a People magazine, and this girl was being interviewed by being assaulted by her grandfather, and this light bulb went off.
Sure.
And so my world came crashing down at that moment in my life. And so I had to come to the decision to tell my parents. And this whole self-healing and self-love came out of it. It was probably the hardest thing I had to do. We had a very close-knit family. So kind of telling them what happened turned everybody's world upside down.
Yeah, it turned my family upside down. So first off, I want to say thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that part of your story.
Yeah, of course.
I think a lot of our listeners have experienced that. I know I have. And so I didn't mean to interrupt you with that, but I just wanted to recognize and just say thank you. So
Thanks.
I, 2.5 years ago, that person from my life showed up at the grocery store and was standing behind me.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember being so angry about that. And I was talking to somebody and I was pissed. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm doing all this work and this person is standing behind me saying, hey, Wesley Coons, and wanted to come hang out and invited me to his house. And I was reminded that I had done so much healing and we were ready for that switch to flip to heal that. And I was talking to a friend this weekend, and she said, paying attention to some of the stuff I'm doing, some of the stuff we talked about has brought some memories back for her. And I'm like, hey, this is a blessing. This is really an opportunity to heal because it would not pop up if you weren't strong enough to maneuver through it. So it's interesting how that works.
It is. And I want to say 10 years ago or maybe 9 years ago, I texted the parents of the abuser and I said, I'm ready to forgive. And I needed that part for me to be able to heal and to move on.
Yeah.
Do I ever want to see that person again? No. But
yeah, probably not Thanksgiving dinner, but yeah.
Right, exactly.
I understand. Yeah. And I forgave mine a long time ago. I just wasn't prepared to have that experience.
Right.
And Trinae from the Reiki Wellness Center, do you know Trinae?
I know of her. Yes, I've heard of her.
She has helped me work through that. And I think what I try to do every day with everything, and if you're in my inner circle, you see this, no matter what happens. If a phone call comes in, if something shows up in front of me, I'm looking at how is this serving me? How is this a blessing? And if I didn't like it, what energy am I carrying that brought that energy in? Because if that person's angry, that's a reflection of myself. Where am I angry? And I would love to say I'm pure love and light. And I don't have any of that, but I'm human. I'm working through it. And this weekend, we got invited. Well, Lakota got invited to speak at this event. Have you ever heard of a guy named Sai Baba?
No, I haven't.
So he was a spiritual leader in India, and I guess he had the ability to create ash through his fingers.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So we were invited to this event last night, and God, there had to have been 300 people in the room. It was really, really interesting. So they had all these different speakers, and we got to experience their culture. This gentleman named Ravi had invited us, made us feel like we were at home. But I was paying attention to the room. So as they started the event, some people went up there and did prayers. Some people went up there and did dances and stuff. The energy of the room was, it was beautiful. Usually in a room like that, I'm a little antsy, but everything was perfect until this one group was invited up to sing, and the head guy was an ego instead of with an open heart, right? This guy's played guitar for 50 years, and he's pretending that he's having a hard time tuning his guitar. So his 15 minutes, he made it 45 minutes. He made everybody late. And he was up there acting like he was at a concert instead of doing the 4 songs. And you could feel the energy of the room shift. And I'm not trying to disrespect him, but what I looked at was the people before and after were open-hearted, and he was an ego. He was clearly an ego, and he's a talented man, but he was an ego. He wasn't open-hearted, and the energy shift was significant. And then Lakota came up after that, and if you haven't heard her speak, she's funny because I never remember what I say after I do the thing. So we videotaped it and I let her see it. And she's like, oh my gosh, I sounded good.
That's too funny. I've
Yeah.
heard that a lot with healers, that they don't remember what they're saying
Yeah.
when there's, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a guy, so I don't remember things all the time. But yeah, that was a neat experience.
That's awesome. What do we call it? The conscious collective, I believe, where we all raise our vibration together. I mean, I feel that way. I know there's been studies done, but people are like, oh, prayer chain. It's like, why does that work? Well, it's like, if you look at it in terms of energy, it's frequency, right? You're pouring unconditional love and gratitude and focusing that energy on whatever it is that you're praying for, and then you get hundreds and hundreds of people doing it. It's going to manifest pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, my spiritual awakening started, was it 2019, right? COVID was 2020. Yeah. So went through my haunted house and all that silliness back then. I don't think I realized I was in a spiritual awakening at the time, but just everything started to shift. And I had this friend, and she would get mad at me. And she's like, Wes, your words and your actions don't align. And I just remember being so frustrated at her. And it was like, that doesn't matter. That's not a real thing. I can feel this way and go up on the stage and do my job and come back and be frustrated. And the reality is you cannot.
Right.
Yeah. And I was just so disconnected. I did not see that.
Incoherence.
Yeah. So she's moved away. I don't know. Her and her family moved to California or something, lost track of her. So if I could see her today, I'd be like, girl, you were right. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like that's a clear example of a transition, a beautiful example of one, because it's like part of you is ready to move on and start healing, and the other part of you is kind of holding on. And I think once you came to that realization, it probably gave you the open heart to.
So one of my favorite questions to ask is, do you see dead people?
I don't. But I see what I have come to say is angels or spirits. Nice. And that kind of started right when before I forgave that individual at night. I'll never forget. I would start seeing these vibrant, beautiful, fluorescent, glowing balls. It almost, I never was a Harry Potter fan, but it reminded me of whatever they have like in the, it's like the ball with the wings. That's kind of what it looked like.
That's cool.
And the first couple times that happened, and it would come towards me, and I would close my eyes, and I'm like, what is happening? Something's wrong with me. So much to the point that I actually went to an optometrist, and I was like, am I seeing things? They're like, no.
I did that one, yeah.
No, your eyes are fine. And we have a family friend, Kathy Rose, she's an astrologist, and I remember kind of opening up to her about it one time, and she was like, just be open. Let it be open to it and see what happens. And the minute I started being open, my entire world kind of opened up with these beings, and they shift forms, and they're also in this, like, I don't know how else to describe it, but like it's like a matrix, like it's like this 5D matrix that I'm like, this is like the quantum, like I feel like I'm in the space in between. And so I see that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're usually they're different colors, but I usually see violet is the most frequent color I see.
That's interesting. I'm colorblind, so I know I see some colors, but I don't know. It's like looking at a mathematical equation and realizing that's division, but I don't know how to do the math. So I know that's a color. I just don't know exactly. It's either green or brown or something. However, when I do healing work, in my mind, I can see all the colors.
Yes.
And I know what they are, which is bizarre.
Yeah, like my eyes will be closed, and I'll be over somebody, I don't know whether it's an arm or wherever, and I'll see a color. Or I'll see images, which is interesting, and sometimes we'll reflect at the end. And I'm just a channel. I'm not a psychic or anything, but I'll say, look, this is what I saw, and it's amazing. The stories, they're like, oh my gosh, well, now that you've said that, this is going on in my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, interesting.
We're psychic. Don't be fronting. Makes life interesting, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
It makes that corporate job really freaking hard.
Yes.
Yeah. Trust me, I own a real estate company. Shifting gears and going into that is difficult for me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Somebody said the other day, you talk to dead people more than you do to real people, right? And I was like, yeah.
Well, it's hard to relate to, I think. And that's why it's so important. I think finding like-minded individuals is relating. I don't know. Sometimes I feel invalidated, like, oh, ooh, energy. Okay, that's not rooted in anything. And I'm like, no. But like, seriously, it's life-changing.
Yeah. Well, luckily, some of the most talented women on the planet have sat in that chair right there and been on this podcast, and you're one of them. So that's cool.
So grateful to be here.
So Beth Rose, and we've got other people coming on the show here soon. Beth is one of my favorite people. And I know what you mean by feeling at home. I've been hearing that a lot lately. I've had a lot of people migrate towards me, and they're hesitant to speak their truth. And I'm like, girl, say what you got to say. Trust me. There's nothing you can say in this realm that's going to surprise me. And they just feel normal. I had my friend Linda, if you listen to the show, the lady that came originally to help me at the haunted house, she came in for a healing twice in the last couple months, and she brought this young lady, Chrissy. And this time, Chrissy stayed in the room when I was working on Linda. And I looked over and I could see her seeing what was going on. So I invited her to the table, and she ended up doing the healing work on Linda with Linda's permission. And she's not Reiki trained. She's not nothing. I mean, she's just, I think she said she just felt uncomfortable with who she was. But I told her, I said, well, look at, what do you see? And she would point to all the spots, and she was accurate. So she just reached over and just pulled the energy off and changed it and shifted it. I'm like, that's cool.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's cool. So I had this message from God a number of years ago, and he said, one of my jobs is to bring people to his army. And it's not the square box down the street called a church. It's bringing people, I believe, into their truth, being their authentic self, and stepping into their spiritual gifts that God gave us. I think it's
amazing.
Fun. I think it's cool.
So you say that, and part of my spiritual awakening too, I wasn't living as my true authentic self. And I came out as gay like 3 years ago.
Good for you.
And it turned my entire life upside down. And I had known it for a while, but it was way easier. We have 4 kids.
How old are your children?
11, 8, 6, and 4.
Wow.
So 2 girls and 2 boys.
Y'all are busy.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And they're wonderful kids. And I'm blessed. Everything happened for a reason. But yeah, it came to a point where I physically could not hold it in any longer.
Sure.
And I was lying to my partner at the time, and I wasn't being true to myself, and I knew that was going to affect the kids negatively. Our relationship with my partner was not healthy at all.
Sure.
And so fast forward, but as soon as I started doing the work and I came out, and I mean, the worst days of my life. I mean, I couldn't sleep at night. I think that was also, it's like, look, I wouldn't have done this. This is the harder thing to do is to come out and completely turn your world upside down. I mean, I was like, what are people who know me? What are my friends going to say? What are other parents at the kids' schools going to say? And I had all of this what if. And I was like, why? I don't care. This is me, and I need to be me. And I met the most beautiful person. It happened. We'll go into details, but it couldn't have happened in a more perfect timing.
That for you.
Thank you.
So what's her name?
Allison.
Allison. Hi, Allison.
And she loves the kids as her own. They adore her. And everything has, I mean, when I say manifestation, everything has come together in such a beautiful light, and I'm beyond grateful.
Good for you.
But yes, I think I struggled with that too, just coming to being your authentic self.
Yeah. Well, I remember different times in my life trying to figure out who I was and doing different things. And everybody struggles a little bit differently, but coming out of being a real estate broker, being a Marine from a Marine Corps combat unit, and all of a sudden talking about ghosts and spirits and all that, my family wanted...
Admit you into the psych ward?
Yeah, my family wanted to put me in the nut house. And So I know that's not the same as what you went through. I understand not being authentic. And I think I finally got to the point where, after everything was over, I started to post about it a little bit. And God sent people to me that were friends of mine, and they said, "You're Wes Coons, and if you're saying this is true, I've known you for 27 years, then that's true." Mm-hmm. And that just gave me, I guess I needed some validation, even though I don't think we do, but it felt like we did, to be myself and to speak my truth. And if we go to dinner, the odds are I might be talking to the waitress about dead people. So sometimes they just look at you like, what's wrong with you? But it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's nice being who you're supposed to be, isn't it?
It is. Well, and I think like you, I mean, you said I know you were a Marine, and it's like you live your life as this identity. And I think sometimes later in life you figure out that's not who I was all along.
Yeah.
And I was living for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm. No, I can appreciate that. And you've got the best energy and the best aura, too. So when you started talking about Allison, you just see your heart open. So good for you. I love that for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And some of my Marine Corps buddies listen to the show, and I know the message is getting out there. I know people that need to hear these type of messages are hearing it because we're in over 100 countries. We're got tens of thousands of people that listen to the podcast, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. My brother Dennis had died a couple years ago. When we were kids, he'd always say, "Shut up, nobody wants to hear you." Like they do now.
They do, right?
Yeah, they do now. Yeah.
That's too funny.
Where's your office? How do people connect with you?
So currently I am in Norfolk at the Renova Center, which that kind of happened on a whim. My dad knows the owner, Dr. Wood, and he was doing a closing. And long story short, my brother's best friend since college, they're college roommates, basically runs the business. And so he gave me a call because my dad was like, "Oh, Emily's trying to find a space to practice Reiki." And it was funny that the Monday he called, that previous weekend, Alice and I were out to dinner, and I was talking to her about how I needed to call him. And just so happened he called me. And anyways, it's neat. The city of Norfolk pays for police officers and first responders to get holistic healing. Wow. And cool. So the Renova Center they've got hyperbaric chambers, they've got float tanks, they've got massage therapy, Reiki. And so I started there in September.
I have never heard any of my police officer friends talk about that.
Really?
Isn't that strange?
Well, I know there's a huge movement to get Virginia Beach, but Zach was saying, I want to say there's like 800 police officers in Norfolk versus how many in Virginia Beach. So just getting, I think there's a lot of legality to getting it approved by the city.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Our government doesn't want us to be okay.
Right. This is very true.
Yeah.
So that's where I am now. And then I recently just 2 days a week are going to be at the Vault. It's at Hilltop. It's Vault Athletics and Fitness.
So are you at the top of the stairs?
I am, yes.
Yep.
Have you been in there before?
Yeah. I helped somebody move their space in there. God, I want to say her name was Veronica.
Yes.
Yeah. 18 months or so ago.
Okay, esthetician, yes.
Yeah. So she's still there?
She is part-time.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm in Norfolk 3 days a week. And then...
Well, tell her I said hello.
I will.
So she knows me, yeah.
So that's where I am. And my business is Coastal Reiki. So you can... www.coastalreiki.com. You can kind of learn about more what I do and book.
Nice.
There.
So what kind of sessions do you do? Tell us about that.
I do like 60-minute Reiki sessions. Like I said, I trust my intuition on that. So I do Reiki for about 45 minutes or whatever I feel is appropriate. My body kind of tells me when to stop.
It will do that, right? Yeah.
And then I open it up at the end for reflection. I had a really neat experience. I had a lady who had cancer, and she just had a double mastectomy, and she come in, and I was working over her left arm in particular, and that's feminine energy. Well, the music I had on in the background started staticking and like stopping and pausing, and I was like, okay, that's weird because my phone was on Bluetooth and there was a clear connection. And she had these beaded bracelets on, and one of them snapped and just flew everywhere. And anyways, we were talking about that, and I was like, I don't know what that means. It sounds like I feel like there's a relationship, maybe a feminine relationship that needs attention to. And the next time she came in, she was like, yeah, I was figuring out how to tell my sister, who is it's a strange relationship, how I was figuring out how to tell her I had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, bam.
Yeah.
That was that.
Can't make that up, can you?
Right.
Yeah, I did an event about a year ago. I forget the name of the place. It's over off of Diamond Springs area. I think it's called the Loft or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there was about 12 of us in the room, and this one lady came in, and I see dark energy. She had something with her. So we did the session, and we had some time left over, and people were asking questions, and I just couldn't ignore it anymore. And I said, do you feel like you're being watched? And she's like, how did you know? I was like,
I can literally see it.
Yeah, look over your left shoulder. I don't... But as she stood up to come to me to clear it, the chair on the other side of the room come flying off the wall about 8 feet. There was no way it was going from leaning against the wall that way to flying the other direction 8 feet.
Right.
And everybody freaked out. I was talking to Kelsey about it the other day. And she said, man, Wes, you just acted like that was no big deal. I was like, yeah, that's normal day. But we cleared that. And as far as I know, she's been good to go since then.
That's amazing.
It's trippy, right?
Yeah. Oh, it is trippy. And I feel like that's what's hard to explain to people who aren't necessarily familiar with the energy world is.
Well, I think when it's time for us to go to heaven, or whatever you want to call that, whatever that looks like, we're going to step into a realm that we're just going to be blown away with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had somebody ask me to help her significant other heal and or cross over maybe about a month ago. I don't know. They were in the Pacific Northwest somewhere. And he had this really rare brain disease. So he went from perfectly normal to 3 weeks later, he went home. And so one of the things that would happen is he would wake up and be terrified looking in the room. So I was constantly clearing the room, clearing energies off of workers that came in and out to keep the space sacred. And he went from being terrified to having these smiles on his face. And his significant other, she said, I don't know what he's seen, but clearly he's in a beautiful place. And I don't know. I'm not ready to leave, but I am ready to see that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Cool. Yeah. I know people are like, oh, I'm afraid of dying. I'm like, oh, no, it's going to be magical.
Yeah.
It's going to be beautiful.
I'd be like, later, fuck it, I'm out of here. Can I take my dog?
I know. I'm also really into signs. I don't know if you're... and I read a book. It was literally called Signs. And that was kind of... that opened up my world to the other side as well. And I know the author of that was like, I think she's a medium, and she was like, pick really odd, obscure signs for loved ones that have passed. And I lost my maternal grandmother when I was 7, and I never really felt close to her but I was so young. And then ever since she passed, I feel like I never connected with her. And I'm close with my other grandparents that have passed. So I was like, I'm going to try this. And so I looked out the window. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a yellow beach cruiser. So I was like, Grandma, like, let me know. You're okay? Let me see a yellow beach cruiser. Well, a week had gone by, and I was like, that was dumb. It was dead of winter. I was like, there's nobody riding bikes. Yeah. This is not going to go well. Well, the moment I stopped looking, I went to go pick up my son from preschool. He's at a First Pres church. They have this courtyard. And I walked into that courtyard. What was chained up against one of the benches?
It was a yellow beach cruiser.
And I was like, you can't make this up. I've never seen a bike chained to...
I've never seen a yellow beach cruiser in my life. Yeah.
And since then, I see them quite frequently, whether it's a picture of one or somebody driving by with it. So
that's cool. Well, when everything was over with my house, and there was like this emptiness at the end where the house was fixed, all the healers were gone, and I was just utterly destroyed. It was just, I was shaken to my core. And I would love to say at that point in time, everything stopped, like the things crawling on me, but the reality is that lasted about 2 years. Wow. And this little finch, my mom loved finches, and I had done just like you had said, is, Mom, if you want to come to me, you can always come as a finch. And this finch came, landed at my feet, I picked it up and petted it. I'll show you the picture when we're done.
Wow.
And of me holding this bird. When has a wild animal ever come to your feet, let you pick it up, pet it,
never.
and then fly away?
Right.
It doesn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, that works. Those things work.
That was your mom. That's neat.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Before I found you, I did a prayer. I said, I know there's somebody interesting, somebody unique, somebody powerful. I want to meet them. Then literally like 30 minutes later, I don't know if I found you on Instagram or something. You were just there. I'm like,
Wow.
Who's this lady? I don't recognize her. In my mind, I know all the Reiki people, but
Right.
so this has been fun. It's been a blessing.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me again.
So thanks for coming on. So tell everybody your name and how to find you one more time.
All right. I'm Emily Warieng, and I am the owner of Coastal Reiki, and you can find me at coastalreiki.com and book an appointment or just learn more about me there. So
Yeah, so find Rachel. Find Emily. I don't know where Rachel came from because I don't even think I know Rachel.
Right.
So find Emily. If you have questions, reach out to me, and I will see you next time.
great. Thanks so much for having me, Wes. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Enlightenment Unknown with Wes Coons, your guide on the quest for self-discovery and the version of you we haven't met yet.